Hello all, how you doing?
Hello.
Right, not too bad. Oh, I wish I could say I was in a calmer state. I've spent the last 2 hours deconstructing and reconstructing my PC, which has not been the most, shall we say, stress-free environment ever. But at least it's back up to a point now. I just might have to do some drive nonsense and that. But yeah, just might have made a bit too much of a pig's ear out of something that should have been bad. But like I said, this is not about PCs. This is about games. So top 10 games we're itching to play post COVID. And with me, I got Aleks from Gems and Biscuits. We'll get on to where on earth
Hello.
that name comes from in a second. but but by all means, small YouTube channel, hashtag support small creators. Support small creators. That's how it is. 99 subscribers, so we're getting this to 100 before this stream is done. All right, I'm sure we can afford one. Can we afford one subscriber before this stream is done? I'm pretty certain getting to 100 will not be problematic. We'll see if we can get it much past there. But as I say, like me, plenty of a few top tens, a few reviews, changing the styles as ways goes on, and maybe a couple of controversial questions every now and again, like why Pendulum deserves more love, or why Arkham horror games are not too long. It's like, okay. It's like controversial, but I like that. I like that though. It works well on that front. But yeah, so top 10 games itching to play post COVID. This is basically we in the UK have got we've got a lockdown ended already, but we're slowly easing back into normality. But the real date we're waiting for is the 17th of May. 17th of May is when we are allowed to socialize indoors and non-essential hospitality can open. So we can actually, no, looks like you've already got your 100th subscribers. So there you go, you're on 100.
Thank you.
I mean, Kabuki's probably filled that one, I bet. So thank you very much. But from the 17th of May, I say the game cafes will open, and I already know my Portsmouth one's going to open on the 18th. It's annoying. It's like, what, you're going to make me wait an extra day? That's just horrible. But our Southampton one will open on the 17th, so I'll have something to do. But yeah, we are getting those back in. And obviously, we got a bunch of games that we want to play in general, but there's a few games that, particularly as a result of lockdown and COVID and all that's gone on in the UK, we're like, you know what, we want to get these games played over the others, So this is like, and there's a very specific way this one is being done. So in your case, Aleks, have you actually what's rather than just picking your 10 favorite games, how have you come up with your 10?
So for me, I went with because I live with my partner, so there are some games I can still play, but I picked games either that are more social or ones that I just want to play with more people because they maybe are better with more people.
Yeah. Now that's kind of similar to mine actually. I sort of thought like, all right, here's 10 games I really like, but then I can play a lot of them solo. So if I can play them solo, there's a good chance they won't appear on the list. Not saying that's the case of all of them. It depends how often I do play them solo. But then we've managed to have some people around, like support bubbles or like the odd one person. So some two-player games or some small games have got played. But then there's also Board Game Arena and Tabletop Simulator, which helps me to
Mhm.
play certain games more often than not. Like, I mean, for example, I got Lost Ruins of Arnat below there, and it's like I'd love to play that again, but then I was just able to play it on Board Game Arena literally 3 days ago. So like, I'm not as itching to get that back to the table because I have another means of doing it. So these 10 are kind of like I either don't play them solo very much or the player count, I think, yeah, sort of comes into play. Although that does not mean they're all party games. No, no, no.
No, same
uh,
for mine. There's a few that are maybe leaning towards that, but not all of them.
Fair enough. Apparently you're on 102 now, so can we get him to 200 before this done? I mean, I won't even have 200 people watching this stream live, but well, I won't even have 50. But let's see how far we can get it past there. But yep, Christos back in. Kabuki Kid, hello. Yogi Bear, D-Lo. Everyone's coming in. All the regulars. Leon, Victory BHG, Lillian. Let's see how many more we can get in before this show is done. But yeah, so should be interesting enough. Let's get move on. Once I find everything that I need to know, you can tell I've been designing it, like building a PC for the last 2 hours, can't you? I think I need my special coffee. That's what I need. Lovely coffee. All right, on to tens. Going out, starting with a guess as always. You know the score. You've seen enough of these, so
Yes, so I'll start off. I don't really have much of an intro, but it's a race game. I found out that I really love race games, even though I'm not really much into racing as a sport. But this one's got a lot of social interaction as well. It's Downforce.
I guessed that. I instantly, the first one that popped into my head because I did contemplate this one.
Is just a great one. I really love how much those cards add, and especially the betting mechanism, how you almost have alliances pretty much and betrayals as well. Because I had one game where I spent the whole game winning, and I ran out of cards to kind of push myself to the finish line, maybe the last 5 squares away or so. I was confident the rest of the players bet on me, and instead I barely came in third. And I just love that. I really want to kind of experience that excitement again. It just feels like an actual race, an exciting race where you never know what's going to happen again.
So what you're saying is we should never bet on you in a race, no matter how far ahead you are.
Apparently so.
Nah, it's been a while since I got Downforce. I did contemplate this. This could have been in my teens, I think. I think Downforce is on Board Game Arena, maybe that was half the reason, but no, I don't know. I think that this could be like an 11 or 12 or something. I did seriously contemplate this, and I thought like about other racing games like Snowtails and that, and it's like, do I want to get those out? And hard to say. I think Downforce just fell a bit short of the list. Otherwise, I'd be on there. It has been a while, and I've pimped mine out slightly with the. There's one
yeah,
car
I saw that.
I still need to get one car because I don't like using a metal Mario as one of my people. I need the shy guy, but probably impossible to find them now. But the little Mario cars that they used to sell in packs, mine's got pimped out slightly there. So I mean, you're using a Mario or Baby Mario and Red, Princess in red. Bowser is yellow and Donkey Kong is orange. And that's like more interesting.
I'm surprised they haven't made an actual Mario Kart racing game yet.
Well, they probably have, and they did try a Monopoly Mario Kart thing, which is like run from it. But I mean, some people on BGG created a fan version of this game where they have actually introduced Mario Kart rules into this. So I mean, I haven't got the time to sort of figure out how it works. But if someone shows me a fan variant Mario Kart that they've done, I'll definitely do it. That just goes without saying. All right, and so we got that one. Where did I type in that down for? Sorry, I gotta make certain I click on the right banners when I get on yours now. But all right, my number 10 is a little bit of a squeaker, mainly because a certain group that I play this sort of game with are probably going to hate me if I don't show this to them. Because I did promise I would, even though I've said to them, you know what, look, campaigns, I'm getting sick and tired of bringing campaigns around because it takes us 3 years to get through a campaign because we can't always meet up every week. They got kids and stuff. And it's just like, oh, do I have to show you another one? And it's like, this is the one campaign game which I'm like, fine, you can have this one. You can have Sleeping Gods. Because we're big fans of like the Near and Far one that we had before. And we've played through that one as a campaign. I have played through this solo, and I enjoy it. But I know that they are probably going to want me to bring this round. They're going to want me to go through a campaign of this with them. And it's like, okay, fine. But this one will probably be easier to play with them because, I mean, it's fun already. But whereas all the other campaign games, you still have to play through like a whole game and then finish and then you wrap up. This one, you can kind of just stop whenever you want.
Oh.
It's open world, so you'll go to a place and you'll resolve the scripts, but then once you've done with that, you could end it there, or you could go to the next island, go to a port and decide that's your save point or whatever. I mean, as long as you write it down correctly on the sheet, you're fine to stop. So it means that we might be able to make this a bit more flexible with the time, so we're not running too late. But as I say, we like Ryan Lockett's world, we love his stuff, so... And the fact that I've already played through this solo means I can actually help teach the game fine, especially now that I've got the combat rules correct. That was a bit of a misnomer on my part. But I kind of turned the game from... I kept complaining that the game was too hard. And part of that was because the way I was doing the combat resulted in me playing it on effectively hell difficulty. And it was like, that might have been why. So as soon as I got that corrected, the game balanced itself quite nicely. It's like, But nah, the Sean Jabigga one, it squeaked on because as much as I'm like I'll definitely happily play it. It's like another campaign game. I kind of want to just play some single games with them. But I thought, like, yeah, you know what? We haven't been able to do this at all during COVID. I haven't seen them in quite a while for a game,
Mhm.
and they don't have the headphones set up for BGA. I mean, the last time we tried it, it was like, I mean, we were talking about your audio at the start of this. Also, like, trust me, they were doing like speakers through mobile phones and that. It was absolutely unbearable to play any games with them online. I
Oh
just could
gosh.
not take it. So bad. Have you tried this
Yeah.
one yet, or have you tried
I,
any of
I
these?
haven't. I've been wanting to try a campaign game of sorts, but I don't think I quite have the permanent group for that. We have a small group that we played games with once the whole thing eased up last year, but it was more. We kind of tend to play more a large variety of games. There's not like one game we would keep coming back to. So, if
Yeah.
I can get someone to play a campaign game with, I would love to. But until then, nothing.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, unless you, I mean, does your partner play games?
Some games there's kind of a difficulty scale far as she'll go. So I got her to play Scythe, but then some other games are just too involved for her and she's not into them. I think a
Well,
lot
Scythe
of
isn't exactly a cakewalk.
it isn't, but I think a lot of why she likes it is the theme as well.
Yeah, it's a cool setting, a cool theme, and it looks nice. But I mean, yeah, I mean, she can handle Scythe. She can handle a fair amount out there. Stuff like maybe like the West Kingdom games, Raiders North Sea, that kind of stuff would be fine. There'd be a fair few I could think of.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing stupidly heavy or something. And certainly this wouldn't be any heavier than Scythe, or maybe I don't know, maybe try Near and Far or something. But even this one would be
Mm.
fine. I don't think it's out of her reach. I think if she can do Scythe, then all cool. All right, fair enough. On to nines.
So my number nine is a smaller version of an already existing game, which I think kind of tells what it is, and it's
That's happened to quite a few games, to be honest. In fact, I just mailed one of those sort of games to my nephews for his birthday, so there's a few out there.
true, but mine's Mysterium Park.
Okay, yes, I did. This one's another shortlisted one.
I love the original Mysterium, but I never got it because between the whole, giant board, the setup, everything that was going on, it seemed like if I got it, I would always be playing as the ghost. And sometimes you just want to be the one who actually guesses the cards. Well, with Mysterium Park, it's so much quicker, so much more streamlined that you can easily play a couple of games in a row. Like we've been playing it with my partner at 2 players, and surprisingly, it works quite okay at 2 players as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, we've played usually about two, three, maybe 4 games in a row, and it's been fun. So I really want to kind of see how it works at higher player counts.
It works as fine. I mean, I've still got the original Mysterium on my shelf, and I did again. I contemplated this this was on the shortlist for this one. Maybe because I've played it quite a few times, like when we weren't in full lockdown, so maybe it's not quite as
Hmm.
like devoid of attention. But I mean, whether it's normal Mysterium or this Mysterium Park, I'll take one. I mean, I've been singing the praises of the Park version purely because for those who complain, oh, there's a bit of setup with the other one and that, and it's like, well, okay, cool, I'll set this one up in
That's
two
me.
minutes. Yeah, it's like it's like this one is quick to set up and quick to teach. If anything, it's harder to win than the other one though, because everything on that circus thing looks very similar in terms of the pictures and
Yes,
the
yeah.
characters. So trying to come up with effective clues really requires you to think outside the box, especially
I
with
do
new
hope. Yeah.
players.
I do hope they come up with an expansion or like an extra set in a different setting, so you just have more cards to mess around with, though.
I think they will. I can't remember if that's in their line or not, but I mean, at the end of my last when I did the review for this one, I said that at the end of the video. It's like you don't need to expand Mysterium Park. Just bring out a new standalone set for all these different things. I mean, you could have Mysterium School. I think
Oh yeah.
the one that I was proud of, that I want royalties for if they use it, is Mysterium Camp. I want that something like
Oh,
Camp
that would be
Crystal,
cool.
some kind of Camp Crystal Lake, like the American style. Like take that American style like guide camp or whatever that you get in those cheesy horror films, or what they I forget what they were, Scareaway Camp 2 or whatever. It's some cheesy B movie horror, I remember. But get that setting so you can have flagpoles, the fields, the woods, the the guide cabins and stuff like that, and the pier, the lake itself. You could throw in a few Easter eggs like Jason and that in there, and it's just like I think camp would just be a perfect one for the next one. It's like I want royalties if that turns up.
Absolutely. It's just now that they started putting out those smaller versions, there's just so many places they can go with it, and I really hope that they do.
Mm. Yeah, just I mean, no
Like,
harm in stopping Mysterio
like
because I still get a kick. I still get a kick out of
yeah,
this
like
one.
for myself, I'd love Mysterium Museum. Just have different museum rooms, different settings, something like that. I think that would also work.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you could do quite a few
Yeah.
different ones with it. I actually have no problem playing. I swear I've played the Ghost probably 95% of times I have played. So yeah, because the thing is, yes, if I'm teaching it, me being the Ghost probably works out better. But
Yeah.
then I like that tension of not being able to talk apart from guide the game, trying to think, oh, what am I going to do? Because I do love that bit. But then just sitting there watching everybody make their decisions, slowly cursing in my head, like, is that I'm going to punch you in a minute because you are constantly leading people away and I want you to shut it. Just so I can explode on them later. As ever, that Leon, don't worry, I haven't got a problem with you following on. Essentially, Leon is doing his own top 10 in the comments. It's like, you can listen along with us and you can comment on what we're saying, but you're more than welcome to chit chat amongst yourselves if it's related to the topic at hand. So, not a problem there. What was your 10 actually? Can I find your 10? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Somebody mentioned Solomon Kane. That's new. that's somewhat new. Solomon Kane is like a massive like campaign driven thematic game. Think like
Hmm.
sort of lines of Tainted Grail style grittiness or something, but all controlled in one day. I mean, I've only tried an early beta version of it or something, and it seemed cool. I mean, I don't know how it differs itself from all the rest. That's it. And Caverna, yeah, Caverna needs quite a few players to, well, not too many, but if you're one of these people who's playing it with 7 players, then what is wrong with you? Because
Oh,
Caverna is really not a game I want to do that with.
yeah.
Alrighty, cool. So number 9 for me, right? Not supposed to Squiggo. This one I haven't played this in a while, and I don't tend to play it solo, but it's one of my favorite. I suppose you could call it Euro. It's Euro game with a theme, but the theme is half injected by me or saying. It's just the fact that this is one of those where yes, you're pushing cubes around your attributes, shall we say, but it gives me such a good thematic flavor every time I am playing Vindication. And I can normally
Mm.
get this out with 4 players. I even don't mind playing it with 5 even. I can get a 5-player game done quite good because it's got that variable end game trigger. So even a 5-player game doesn't take too long. But I've missed this one. Like in just general. I still enjoy the fact that this one, even though, yes, you're pushing the cubes around and somebody's got too much to do with the painting models, whereas the actual game, that would help. But where you're going around that map and picking up the different cards and decide, right, am I going to have a posse of followers after me? Am I going to go after be a Tomb Raider, improve my traits, go hunt monsters? Is there a particular color of posse I want? Should I go grab some relic items? Should I vindicate myself or not care? There's so many different ways that this game can play out, and I don't tend to play it solo because I think it works a bit better as a sort of like multiplayer session. And I just have not played this one in a while as a result of the COVID and lockdown. And I just really want to get it back out because it's not too difficult to teach. Most people pick it up relatively
Oh.
quickly. Once you've got the fundamental rules that are on your like A5 player aid, you're in a good spot really. And yeah, the movement, what you do on your turn is pretty straightforward. It's just you have to be comfortable with those types of games where it's very sandboxy. It's like you've got to get honor points. How do I do that? Well, here's the way you can get points. And it's like, well, which is the best way? And I hate it when people ask me that. It's like, I'm not going to give you strategy tips, but you can do whatever you like in this game and get honor. It's like, it is a sandbox. Do what you like. And so I'm usually doing things from a thematic perspective. But nah, it's this other one. And definitely can't wait to sort of bring this out at some point. Whether even if it's with the 5-player count, it's just like, I think that theme and self-storytelling aspect of this is just calling to me.
I looked at this because it looks very thematic and interesting to play, but I looked at the board and it seemed like it would be very complicated. So I'm quite glad that you said it's easy to teach. So might need
I
to look into it.
It's like I say, it's not like it's a light game, but I wouldn't call this heavy. I'd still call this like in the medium weight category. But I think once you've, because the thing is, you open the rulebook and there's like different variants that you can use. But if you just fought like simply just the normal rules, forget about putting variant landscape tiles in there. Just stick with what the basic stuff is. You've mainly just got to learn about was it you can do you have to do 3 actions on your turn, and then there's a bunch of bonus actions of which most of the time you'll only do one of them anyway. They're not too straightforward. You just basically have to understand how these cubes work, and your influence board. If you can get that in your
Hmm.
head, the rest of it kind of falls into place. It's not as heady as is like some people would make out.
All
But
right, I'll need to look into this.
yeah, vanilla one, and like I say, whether you call it thematic or dry, I can see the argument both ways. It's you don't really feel like you're killing a monster; you're just getting an orange card. But you're telling your own story. You can inject your own theme in there. That's how it works. Alrighty, on to eights.
You just talked about my number eights. Well, this sort of series of games, my number eight comes from when we talked about number tens, because it's Architects of the West Kingdom.
Ah, okay. Ah, yes.
Because I think Architects might be my favorite worker placement game, but I haven't played it anywhere near as much as I would like to. It's just, it's very easy to learn. The actions you're doing are very simple as well, but there's plenty of depth there in deciding how you're going to go about it. The turns just go around so quickly as well. You place a meeple, and by the time you've decided what you're going to do next, your turn's back to you. But it's not a game that, from what I've heard, is good at 2 players. So I haven't even tried it with my partner yet. I've just waited until we can play it again with more people.
Yeah, I mean, your partner can handle this fine, but the 2 player in this is not as
Yeah,
good as multiplayer.
that's what I've heard.
This is one of those rare occasions where I actually don't mind playing this with more players. I mean, I'll play it with 3, fine. 4 seems to be a pretty good number, but then I've even played it with 5, and the expansion brought it up to 6. And I actually thought, oh my god, I got to play a 6-player game of this, and most people are new to it. This is going to take forever. Still took no more than 2 hours with 6 players,
Oh,
including the
that's good.
teach. That was impressive. And
It's
it's not
really
like we were
good.
going at supersonic speed. Some people were a little bit hazy with it, but the turns came back round quicker than people expected. And, because they're sort of like, right, I've had my turn. Oh, is it me again? It's like, yeah, when you quickly understand that you just literally put the people down, do the action, and that's your turn, you quickly find how quick this thing comes back round. But yeah, I didn't think, I don't know why this one didn't, I don't think it made the shortlist. Possibly because I think I played it a few times a bit like the other ones. I'd played it when we had the chance to
Yeah.
actually socialize with people. I had brought it out once or twice. Uh, or maybe I've got more of a hankering to. Well, I suppose the other thing with this is that as much as I like playing it multiplayer, I actually quite like this one solo as well.
Oh, I've not
And
tried that.
Viscounts of the West Kingdom I also consider, but again, I like that one solo. So if I really want to play this game, I know I could just bring it out. The 2-player one is fine. I mean, some people seem to like it, although yeah, Yogi seems to think this game's good
Oh,
at
okay.
2. Kabuki's surprised it's good at 2. It I suppose I'm wondering if you're playing this at 2, there is a bot you can play against, like the AI, sort of like co-op or competitive mode. I think it's not often I ever see this out at 2-player, but it's so if that way works, then fine. Personally, like I say, I'm more of a like get at least 3 in this game, preferably 4 or more, and you're doing pretty well. Yeah, it's a good sort of one. I would say one of your favorites. Is it mine? Could be. Out of all the worker placement games, if we're talking core worker placement, it could, no, wait, no. There was a game, no, Terramara beat it out last year on the top 100. There was a Quinid game, heavy Quinid games, worker placement. So that one I think beat it out. But I mean, this is my favorite of the West Kingdom trilogy. So it narrowly beats out Viscounts and completely devours paladins, which I seem to have gone off quite quickly compared to like the rest of them, despite most people going paladins is the best one. It's like, nope. Paladins over here. Is that architects more up here? That's how it works. Oh, Side Games joined us as well. It's Side Games from a previous video. Your favorite light worker placement game? Again, is it light? Would you consider this light?
Definitely on the light side, at least light medium, maybe, because it's very easy to. The stuff you're doing is very easy, but I guess there's plenty of strategies there.
Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant because I did this in my last podcast episode. I said that gamers underestimate weight. I don't like this light, medium, and medium heavy categorization. That just makes no sense. It's like when reviewers, like even Dice Tower now, when they start doing like 5.5, and it's like there is no point in decimal ratings. That doesn't mean anything. You know, grow a spine and decide whether it's 5 or 6, not 5.5. But with these, I don't like that. So I tend to go, right, you've got gateway games, which could be the equivalent of super light, but you've got light, medium, heavy, and then I do sort of go, right, super heavy. Which are the heavier games that are not just heavy brain burny, but kind of like make a mistake and you're doomed type games? There's plenty of those out there. Architects, I can't decide whether to call it light or medium. There's enough.
I do agree with Kabuki Kid says that it wouldn't be someone's first worker placement experience.
Yeah, that is the thing. I would never put this as their first. I mean, you've got Stone Age, you've got Pillars of the Earth. There's a few there. There's definitely more first. Yeah, Stone Age or Pillars of the Earth would be the first 2 worker placement games I could think of for multiplayer that I would suggest as gateway. Oh, and Lords of Waterdeep. You could use that one as well. But Architects, like I say, there's a fair amount of action spaces. You've got the apprentice card abilities, which a lot of the other light games won't. And you've then got the guardhouse and the capturing of meeples, which was new for gamers, let alone somebody who's never seen it before. And then you've got how does the virtue make a difference? I just feel I think it's not so much that this game is light. I just think that the game is so streamlined that it feels light. You know, the rules are nice and simple, and for anybody who's familiar with these games, they'll pick it up like that. But I don't think that makes this game light. I just think it just makes it more accessible than most, or it just, for us, it just makes it like an absolute pinch in order to play. But I would not want to put this in front of people who have never played worker placements. Ideally, maybe one person in that 6-player one was new to it or newish to games, but he must have played something beforehand. I don't know. I'd be a little bit hesitant, but well. Like I say, still awesome game regardless. So 8. Right, we're going on to a deck builder for mine, and with this one, there are some deck builders I can play solo. This one I cannot. I have to play this with people. I mean, if there's a solo, there's a fan variant, and I'm not a big fan of doing the fan variants, but nice and light, pretty, and I want to teach this to as many people as I can. But we'll get onto the actual game first. It's Dale of Merchants. So
love this one.
They're cutesy, lovely animals, but I can't play this solo. So I have to play this with other players. And I don't mind if I only play this with 1, 2, 3 other players. Fine, I'll play it. But I get such a kick out of this game. These are prototypes. That's better. Yeah, you got the collection there. I suppose because I'm looking at the collection on BGG, there's only so many photos. But I love all these different factions and how, you know, it makes the game fundamentally different, and I can tailor it for new players or veteran players by sort of going, these animals need a little bit more thought. These ones are quite simple. But a big reason I want to get this out is this part down here. I barely have used these because I'm usually teaching a game, and they're basically player powers. But player powers, as if you remember Cosmic Encounter, those sort of things. It's on those sort of lines. They don't. They're not like stupidly humorous and break the system, but they are in that traffic light thing of green, yellow, and red. And some of them have got like their own special mechanics and pieces. But I sort of looked through the deck and I thought I'd never taught with these. But then I looked at the green ones and I thought, anybody could get these. Some of these are dirt simple. So now I want to get it back to the table. And now every time I teach it, I want to throw in those player powers. And then COVID hit. So it's like, I'm going to have to It's like eventually I'll get to bring this back and have some player powers and things like that, because I don't think the tabletop simulator version has player powers. To my knowledge. I know I can play this on TTS, but I don't think it can. But yeah, I get a kick out of this one. Have you tried this?
Yeah, we've played this at 2 players. I think I had the original Dale of Merchants and Dale of Merchants 2, so we've kind of
Mm.
mixed the different animals together, and I just really loved how different the game feels depending on the
Mm.
animals you mix in, and you can tailor it whether you want it to be meaner or kinder, what kind of mechanisms you want in there. Just really loved it, and the art on it as well is just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the artwork's lovely on these cards. It's simple. It's a very good introductory deck builder, and this is not quite as introductory as something like, say, Star Realms, and maybe Dominion, I guess. But this one is certainly on that light side. But even some of these, because I mean, are these? I'm trying to think. This is Gold Earn. I think that's a different scenario. I was trying to see if I could find. Yeah, that seems very specific. I was trying to see if I could find the player powers specifically. All I'm finding is the early art for the case, but as I say, I've got so many of those boards now. It's kind of ridiculous. It is like I do not need that many boards for the market. It's kind of somewhat stupid at this point, but like I say, some of these cards, they are harder to use than others. But I think with most people I teach, they're at a point where they could learn this game nicely. And as I say, no solo mode to my knowledge, so should be good on there. All right, people are. Let's see what have we got there. Luke said Pillars of the Earth, but I can't say how that one is since I've yet to play it. Yeah, I mean, the Pillars of the Earth is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's an old school style worker placement game, but it's very basic. You know, you're just trying to build a cathedral. You've got character cards like a mason and that can convert resources into points. You're just basically getting better ones as the game goes on that are more efficient. And over 6 rounds, the cathedral builds. You build up the little model and that. But apart from that, it's like Lords of Waterdeep levels of simplicity. The only difference is the bag of master builders, which you pull them out one at a time. And as soon as they get pulled out, the player then has the choice of placing it as a worker, but has to spend a lot of money, or letting it stay on this little track until all the others have had a chance to do it, paying very little, but then maybe their space has been nicked. It's not been replicated in any other games, and I'm like so annoyed by it because yeah, okay, there's a little bit of luck. Oh no, shock horror! Some games can have a little bit of luck in them, but it's such a cool mechanic because you almost don't want your worker to be pulled out first. Because I know I can go on and get my space that I really want, but I got to pay 7 gold to do it. That's annoying. It's like, can you like wait a few? Can you pull out 2 or 3 before you get to mine or something? But not green, because green wants to go to the same space. It's got such a great dynamic with it. All right, that was 8s, 7s.
This is going to be a big one that we will have a difference of opinion on.
What in
There's a
terms of whether you want? What in terms of whether it's a good game?
yes,
Should I
yes.
just type in Great Western Trail now?
No, no. In fact, not even whether it's a great game, whether it's a game at all, if that gives it away. Because
The
my
mind?
number 7, yes, my number 7 is the
Oh,
mind.
oh dear.
And but I think there's multiple ways to play the mind. There's the one that's in the rulebook, how it's designed, where you sit quietly around the table and play cards. That version's all right.
What, you mean the way the game was designed?
Well, yes, yeah, the way the game was designed, where you sit quietly, say nothing. It's quite a tense game, but it's just a dead silent environment. There's the wrong way to play it, where people just sit and either count in their head or count their heartbeats, which just ruins the whole point of the game.
Counter. Oh
And
god, yeah, that's trying to game the system. That's just pathetic.
yeah, and then there's the way we played it, which is we just changed that rule slightly, where we weren't allowed to talk about the cards we had, but we were allowed to just talk otherwise. And that makes it a really fun social experience.
Well, what are you talking about if it's not the cards?
Just taking the piss out of each other, really. Just taunting each other into playing the cards, making fun of whoever plays the wrong card, everything like that.
Oh right, so you're just egging each other on. You're just
Basically, yeah. So it becomes basically a party game. And that's the kind of mind I want to go back to play again, in particular with some people in the group that I first started playing it with, because it was just a hilarious experience, especially when we got something like probably 12 people in to play the mind, which becomes an absolutely chaotic and hilarious experience to sit through.
What, 12 people in the same game?
Yeah.
Ouch. Over that. How did you manage to get the mind and hilarious in the same sentence? Oh god, I hate this game so much.
A lot of people do. It's very marmitey.
I just played this and I heard people laughing on the table, so I thought, alright, I gotta try this. But as soon as I knew it was a bit like The Game, which is another like annoying game, I just thought like, okay, it's probably not gonna like it, but let's just find out. And then it's like, right, we're silent. Line? I mean, what? People are just playing cards, and it's just like, well, what do I've got 36, man. Well, what do I do with that then? You've played your 24. Okay. It's meant to be a filler, guys. God blimey, are we sitting here for ages? It's like, oh no, alright, fine, I'll play it. Oh, I had the 35. It's just like, what stupid game is this? Like...
Yeah, see, because when you can talk, it also becomes a quick game, because eventually someone's just gonna get annoyed and start egging people on to just play a card, or finally just play their own card.
Oh, I count to about 10 seconds and I play my card if no one else has. I don't care if it's like, I don't care if the 5's there and I've got the 99. If it's not 10 seconds, if you haven't made a decision in 10 seconds, I'm playing my card just to end it. It's just like, stop, like, making me wait. I'm not tense about whether I play the next number or something. It's like, no, you want a game with silent, like no communication that works properly. You get The Crew. That's the one.
Yeah, I want to try that one out. Yeah,
that's the silent one I'll get behind, because with The Crew, yes, you can't talk, although you do have one way to communicate with a token in that each player, but it's trick taking and it's co-op. Well, this is co-op as well. That doesn't work, but But if you know how to play a trick taking game of play the card, follow the suit, highest wins or whatever, then when you're trying to decide whether I should play this card or whatever, you can make educated guesses on what you're doing. Because you know that so-and-so's got to win the 4 red. Well, let's see. He's just played the free red. So you must think that he's got the 4, which means you hopefully know I've got a lower one. So if I play my low one, then that means he'll get it right. And because you can at least try and figure out that kind of stuff from just normal trick-taking rules, it works. And it's so popular. I mean, it's on my shelf and people around my club love it when I bring it round, regardless of whether they do well at it or not. But with this one, you are just guessing.
Like... I don't know. In my experience, you kind of click with people later on and you start getting these combos going, which is really satisfying. But kind of like Leon said, that it's really group dependent. I have had some games off it with the wrong people that were just absolutely dead in the water.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on it being the Marmite one, because Leon loves it. Crystal's with me. Yeah, Kabuki likes it, but a couple of people in this region don't dig it, so we never play it. This is polarizing as all get out. And I'm not even sure I mean, is it the right group? Because it makes me wonder what type of group has to like this game. Because I hear laughter from the other table, and I'm just like, where's the joke? I don't get it. It's like watching after the sort of cringy humor I talk about with other stuff. I'll see people watch it and they'll laugh their heads off with somebody like dressed up in a sheep trying to pretend to be a ghost or something. It's just like, this is funny. Let me show you an episode of Blackadder or something, and then it's like, we'll show you what comedy is, a bit of Monty Python, but I don't know. As soon as you mentioned when you were giving your clues, I thought, oh, don't read mine.
It's okay. There's more like that down the list.
This should be interesting. All right. Well, I definitely wasn't. Well, I'm definitely not itching to play that one post-COVID. Itching to burn it post-COVID, maybe. I don't know. But alrighty. Okay, cool. Right. Well, my 7. We've actually already mentioned this on our list. We haven't mentioned it on the list. It's not a crossover, but we have mentioned this game whilst we were talking about your partner, because this one is very popular with my gaming groups. and I don't often play it solo. I prefer to play it with 3 or more players, but we can play up to 7 with the expansion. We're perfectly happy with that, and our group
Very nice.
really enjoys Scythe. We actually,
Ah,
so we can bring this out, and I don't have to teach more than maybe one person the rules. And most of the time, everybody's familiar with the game, which means we're on a level playing field as to who will win. Even though I still think that a couple of factions in the right hands are a little bit harder to beat than others, but well, what the hell? I just rise to the challenge and try it. But we can, even if we're playing 7 players of this, it'll take a little bit longer, but because we know what we're doing, the turns don't drag on as much as they could do in a lot of other games. But just like your partner in that, I still really like Scythe. Just that very elegant system of engine building, a little bit of combat every now and again. Your game plan being like, right, I've got this faction board with this particular mechanical board. Now, how am I going to do this? And it just keeps going at a good pace. I don't find myself like downtime waiting so long. Although playing the Steam version, there are 1 or 2 people I know that can take forever on their turns. It does happen, so I try not to show there. But you say your partner likes it, I like it, and we all like it. I mean, I can go to my Portsmouth group and find 7 people that will want to play this. I could go to my Southampton group and probably find a similar number. And I still have good memories of a convention. We were at HandyCon one year where a bunch of Southampton mates were together. We decided we wanted to play Scythe because there's somebody there who likes it even more than I do. And we managed to ratchet out a 7-player game in 90 minutes at a convention.
wow.
Because he was moderating it in the sense like as soon as somebody had done their top action, he was like saying to people, right, you can do your
Mhm.
bottom one now. And as much as it makes it sound a little bit like regimental in a sense, because we were still enjoying the game and still chatting, but we were just on point, knowing we knew what we were doing. Nobody needed reminding of a ton of rules, and it worked. But yeah, I mean, if I bring this one out to the Portsmouth lot, I guarantee people will want to play it.
Yeah, I love this one. This was literally the first board game I got. So this is what got me into board gaming because it was
Wow,
just so
you jumped in at the high end, didn't you?
yeah, jumped in at the deep end, but it was just so fun, so cool, completely unique. Because before that, I played stuff like Shoots and Ladders, Monopoly, stuff like that. So this was completely different,
How
and
do
it
you
just
go from
made
Shoots and Ladders to this?
I don't know,
Does not
but
compute.
but yeah, just the theme. What got me into it was the art of it. I saw the
Yeah.
art on the box. I wanted to explore it more, and it was during the time when my brother was visiting me. So I had myself, my partner, and him. So I
Mm.
got the game. We tried it out. After that, I had a completely disastrous teaching session of trying to get my group of friends into it. That lasted for about 4 hours. By that point, we've had some drinks already. We were already quite tired and we never actually finished it.
Yeah.
But then now I've got a group of other gamer friends, one of whom who has a completely pimped out version of these with the metal coins, the realistic resources, the everything.
Ditto. Legendary box right there.
So this one was really close to making to my list. Probably somewhere like
Mm.
11 or 12. Even today I was still thinking of maybe putting it in somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we could play this on Steam fine, but I just feel like I want to get the legendary version out and I want those metal coins out and those resources. And because, like I say, we wanted to get more players, we want to see people again. Well, this is one of those Euro games that I can get quite a lot of players in the game and not feel like I'm going to be there for 5 hours, which is a decent one on there. Interesting couple of things on here. The modular board. I've got no interest in the modular board from after watching a couple of reviews on it, but the nerd shelves in particular, and Bad at Board Games here, this is a common thing I'm hearing that if you want to play this at 2 players, that modular board seems to do a good job of balancing it for 2.
Oh, that'd be worth trying. Because I've played it at two and it's all right, but it does kind of seem that we're playing our own games, and then
Hmm.
eventually, when there's one star left, one of us is just gonna go to battle to get that last star.
That's the thing, and that's why I would never normally play it with 2. But the nerd shelves like doing it with that modular board. Check out their review; they've done one on it
Yeah,
recently, actually, and see what they say. But Maybe it makes the map a bit smaller and more condensed. Maybe that's the
Hmm.
idea. Perhaps with the modular board, it can scale for players. I'd be interested to know why. But I mean, it's why I've not shown much interest in it myself because I'd never play it with two anyway. But if that's what it does, then I'd certainly recommend it. Vanilla Scythe, no, you've got to get some of the expansions. I mean, you know, well, I don't know, pick which ones you like. You want more factions, get the first one. You want those airships, which are really cool for a bit more mobility, get the Wind Gambit one. I've got Fenris in mine, and the modules in that really do introduce some really cool stuff in the game, as long as you are not new to the game. That's the only thing. but
Yeah.
but then, to be fair, I've played it on Steam with some people over lockdown, and that's just oh no, well, we sometimes throw in the Invaders expansion, you know, the green and purple guys. But apart from that, it's pretty much vanilla sci-fi, I guess. Yeah, I'd much rather have as many expansions as I can in it, but then that's just because I'm used to sci-fi by now.
Yeah, I've got the extra factions, and I've been eyeing the airships out just because of the table presence they bring to
Mm.
it.
They're good though because they balance out a couple of factions in the sense that they add to the mobility of them because it means you can get off your initial
Mhm.
island a little bit quicker, and they've got the variable setups for what abilities they have. But the other thing that expansion does is that it introduces the different endgame conditions. So as well as
Mhm. Yeah,
instead of
yeah,
just
yeah.
simply 6 stars, you might have one where after 20 turns it ends. One where you need 5 stars, but then the factory blows up and stuff happens. You know, you've got a few little different ones like that. And the King of the Hill, for example, there's one in there, and you get a lot of points at the end if you control the center bit, so everyone clusters into the middle. So they add a really nice bit of variety to the system. I'd say Wind Gambit's a really good one to aim for.
Mhm.
That can work. All right, we're only on sixes. Oh, blimey, let's move it.
This is another one that I think you don't like from what I remember, but given the city I live in, I couldn't leave it out.
Oh no, has it
It
got 5 letters? I know where you live. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
You've
my
made a lot
number
of
six.
you've made a lot of friends in the comments. I'll give you that.
Yeah, my number six is Brass Birmingham.
Already
It's
typed it. Yep.
I've played it once at two player and once on Tabletopia, but I want to actually play it with more people in real life. And I love the mechanics of it. I love how everything is intertwined and that it is basically its own self-sustained economy there. So, and the art as well. The art is just gorgeous.
That is the thing. I mean, you know, as I don't hate it. I find it below average now. I think when I reviewed it, I gave it a 6. Now I kind of rate it 4. I'm just not as fussed by it anymore. But I can't. I mean, those 4 marks go mostly towards the fact that I just think it does. If you're going to take one of the dullest themes ever, you know, for a Euro game, this is how you do it because it does look good, doesn't it? It's the most beautiful way you can make an industrial revolution look nice.
Oh yeah, and I love that you've got both the night and day boards as well. And
Yeah,
the only
I don't like the day. Well, the day one's okay, but that
yeah,
I'd play it.
the night is the good one. The night is the good one. The
Mm.
only thing I'm a bit gutted about is that by the time I got into it and got it, I missed the version with those proper poker chips. And I've been eyeing up some versions on eBay, but they're a bit expensive.
Oh, you're talking about the clay chips? Yeah, I mean they're
Yes, yeah, the
nice.
clay ones.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, those are the ones.
yeah, the copy I had because I think I bought a copy so I could review it and with the clay chips because I knew that if I wasn't going to keep the game, I'd sell it instantly and yeah, easy enough. Um, but I had to try it with those chips and they're certainly nice. I mean, it gave me something to play with while playing it. But like I say, I mean, I don't, like I said, I do not hate Brass. I do think it's overrated as all get out because everyone keeps banging on about it being the best scene ever. But I have enjoyed my times playing it occasionally with some Southampton mates. It doesn't go on too long. You know, it's never hit the
Yeah.
3 hour mark, which is a positive thing. It does look incredibly gorgeous. I think I just get bored playing constantly get beer and iron. I was like, you know, all the time because, yeah, it's kind of like, so hang on, if I have beer and iron, I basically dominate the board. Okay, well, I'll do that then. It's because what's these manufacturing goods? Don't bother, they're rubbish. It's like cotton, who needs cotton? It's like half the scoring opportunities I just don't bother with in this. Every time I play this version of Brass, I get the beer, and that's my shtick, because I know that everybody's going to need my beer at
Everyone's
some
gonna
point.
need the beer.
Yeah, so I just monopolize it and say, well, I've got control over it, and if you want it, you better give me some points. So that's the way I do it. Sometimes it wins, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, like I say, even if I don't love the game as much, I will just stare at the board and just look for all the Easter eggs. It's got to be something nice in there.
Yeah,
So
if I
look so
could have
pretty.
if I could just have the version of the board without, all the gamey bits, I would probably just
Mm.
frame it and hang it somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's one of like, yeah, was it? I don't care about the cotton. These I never found to be worth it. Always get those. Always get those. Yes. Well, basically, some combination of these three is the way I go all the time. The one that opponents will use are yours. I hate these, and I have never seen anybody win with those. Every time someone has tried to go manufacturing goods, they've lost. I'm
I
not
don't
convinced
think,
they're balanced.
yeah, I don't think I went manufacturing goods. I went for the factories I've had, and then kind of spread myself around iron, coal, and beer.
Hmm.
But I think I came in second that game, so maybe it wasn't the best strategy.
As I'd say, I've just never seen anyone win manufacturers. I've never managed it, and others who have tried it have never come out on top. They are very weird. But I mean, I'll play. If I play this one, I don't care if it's this one or Lancashire, to be perfectly honest. I don't get this whole idea of that, this one is so different from Lancashire. It's like, it's the same game, just with beer. There's really not that much of a
Oh,
difference.
I got it purely because it's Birmingham, so I
Well, of course
figured,
you
well,
did,
I
yes.
might as well get the one that's kind of related to me.
Yeah, I mean, apart from missing beer, Lancashire's basically, instead of beer, you have ports.
So yeah.
Pick one. It's like, I mean, if you were going to give me either of the two, I'd rather have the beer as well. So easy when I do that. But so you just want to get this out, a physical copy out of it?
Yeah, I just want to play a physical copy with more players.
That's true. I mean, this is one of those ones that does work with less players. But yeah, I mean, it does scale pretty well, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2, 3, or 4. I've noticed it works fine, and I don't think you can solo it. Not that I would see what you want to, but
Not there.
okay.
Maybe there's a fan-made version, but I've not tried it.
Fair enough. Okie doke. Right. My one, again, another popular one with the group. I can get, usually, I'm happy to play this with five of us there, even with less than that, because everyone's familiar with it. But some of the games I want for this list are kind of like, I want that little bit of extra social interaction with the players. Even though this is a role selection Euro game, it's one of my favorite games, and people are still egging each other on, or like trash talking if they get assassinated or anything like that, and I still get a kick out of Citadels. And it's quite popular with our group, and even while we're just selecting roles, and I've got this funky set, so I can use all the different roles in there. So people are making jokes at me for like the tax collector and stuff, and assassin and thief dodging. People are chatting a lot. So there'll be 5 of us
Mm.
there, and everyone's sort of like, who have you picked? It's like Luke's ahead on points. Let's go assassinate him. It's like, what did I do? We get a lot of like sort of trash talk around the table when we play this game. But failing that, it's just one I like to play. I can't play it during lockdown. Yes, I do enjoy playing it 2-player. It can work 2-player, but honestly, I want 4 or 5 people sitting around a table with multiple roles, not having to do too many of the face-up cards at the start, and it goes down an absolute treat.
I haven't tried this one, but it sounds like it's a little bit similar to something like Coup or Love Letter with all the card powers.
It's definitely more involved than Love Letter. I mean,
I,
if you played anything like Mission
well, yeah.
Red, well, it's closer to something. It's closer to Mission Red Planet, because Mission Red Planet's kind of like a evolved
Ah.
Citadels in a sense. Yeah, it's got roles with powers, but it's not like you don't have your own hand of powers. The idea is it's a role selection game, so
Okay.
the start of a round. Forget which language these are, but yeah, the Polish ones.
Looks like
But
Polish, yeah.
yeah, but the idea is that you've got the same 8 characters in the game. You choose the 8, 1 to 8, but they're in the game, and so you draft these characters at the start of every round.
All right.
So whichever ones you get, you're thinking, right, well, I want that guy's ability, but then the turn order is 1 through 8. So you're kind of like, well, I want to go first early, but then that character just tries to assassinate one person, that's it. But then I could decide I want to go for the merchant. It'll get me some extra money. I can build my buildings because that's what the aim of the game is. But then suddenly, you end up with the assassin sort of going, merchant, you might die as well. It's like, but that's the thing. And then once you've done the round, all the characters go back, shuffle, king, leader, whatever starts off the draft, and so you get a different character every round, as opposed to Love Letter, which you just have, the
Yeah,
same
you just get the cards. Yeah.
bits on there. It's, as I say, an oldie but a goodie. That's the one with this one, and I'm just going to leave that one there. I'm going to pin that. Actually, can I pin that to the screen like the rest of the show? Just like have it on repeat. I'll have to scroll back and constantly like rinse repeat that one when I do my 5, 4, 3, and 2, and 1, and just go great choice, Luke, great choice, Luke. Just have it on spam. That'll work. Not biased at all. Is that? Can you put another quote in there? Say horrible choice, Aleks, and then no, that's harsh. That's harsh. He's already said the mind and brass. We could live with that. So, alrighty, on to 5s. I'm not mean, really. Right.
So for 5, I've got basically the closest thing I could get to Game of Thrones, the board game, without playing Game of Thrones, the board game. So it's War of Whispers.
It sounds, the title is familiar, but that's about all I know.
It's basically, it's kind of, there's about 5 armies representing different countries on the board, but you don't play as any country. You play as a secret kind of spy organization, and you're trying to manipulate them. You've got your own factions that you support and want to win or to lose. So you're trying to just manipulate the armies to fight in a particular way so that you win. And I've played it again at 2 players, and I've played it once at a higher player count, but it's been ages since I had it out. And now I've bought all of the collector's edition kits, so I have it pimped out, where instead of cubes, I've got little banners. I have the little houses and towers that the board severely needed. And it's basically a worker placement game, but because of the way the team's been done, it hardly feels like worker placement.
Is that an effect, or is that how the board looks?
That's how the board looks, basically. It's a circular board.
Yeah, the art's pretty decent as well. I've not heard of this one.
I think Shut Up and Sit Down did a review of it.
Well, that means nothing to me.
Fair enough. But yeah, I've played it. I really enjoyed it. It's a cool game where you get to play the role of a spy master like Varys or Littlefinger.
Okay. So what, you got like cards that go off? You got little miniatures and that? Okay.
Yeah,
Looks interesting.
all of those miniatures come in the collector's edition, so I had to actually buy that upgrade pack separately. If it's without the miniatures, it just has cubes. And the game depends a lot on what farms, towers, and are they cities, I think? But the actual board, they're printed off on it, and it's a bit hard to see in places. So you almost need those premium components because they give you the building miniatures that you then put out.
Yeah, I would not want to play this with cubes. That'd be horrible. I mean, that looks nice.
Yeah, now I have that. Now I have the fancy version of it, so I want to get it to the table and get it played.
Interesting. Starling Games, I know they've done a few interesting bits. Galactica, if it's the same people I'm thinking of, are the ones who did this War of Mine, I think.
Oh, maybe. I think they're the ones who did Everdell as well.
Starling Games would have been, yeah, so it could be interesting. Yeah. It's got the publisher name. I don't recognize the designer with it. It said only 30 to 60 minutes. I didn't think it would be that quick a game.
It was quite short from what I remember.
It does have, Yogi mentioned it does have a similar vibe to Mission Bread Planet, the way that it's like this circular board of different areas of controlling. But I mean, interesting. What's the deal with these boards?
The player boards.
Yeah.
Basically, you get 5 tokens. Each token represents a particular faction, and you kind of randomly shuffle them up together and lay them up on your board. And then the ones that's furthest to the left, I think, is the one you want to do the best. Basically, the one you want to dominate the board. The one that's furthest to the right is the one you want to do the least. And then it kind of, I think, counts. You get the most points for how many cities your preferred faction controls, and then you lose points for every city your least preferred faction controls.
But you say randomly, so you don't know what actions you're picking?
So you randomize them, and then you have a look at them once, so you sort of see what they are, but none of the other players know who you support.
Right. I mean, does the random bit mean that you can't plan much? Maybe I'm missing the idea, because
maybe
the mechanic,
it's just randomized setup, I guess, more that you don't decide at the start who you support. You randomly shuffle them up together to get your initial setup.
And you got to react from there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can switch your allegiances, kind of just switch 2 tokens places, but then you have to reveal both of them so all of the other players know who you support and how strongly you support them.
Right. So is Yogi right? You don't own a faction. You constantly
you don't own a faction. You're just manipulating them, really.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's different from Mission Red Power. That's a completely different sort of game then. We just like the circular board from it, but I'll have to try this one. But that name sounded familiar, but that was literally all I knew. Like, nothing else about that game. That was an entire learning experience. But I could see, I mean, everything that sounds like, yeah, that sounds perfect. That's not going to be a solo game. You're going to want a lot of people. You're going to want people in each other's faces. Nah, I can see how that one works, but I'd have to see if anyone's got this one. There's something you can show me. I've not seen this on a table or on a shelf, so this will be brand new. Alrighty, my 5. We're going on to. Some people call this a party game. I don't think it's a party game. It's a negotiation game. As opposed to it's just the fact that it always ends up in laughter while we're playing it. But certainly the fact that we can't play the solo and I want people in front of me to laugh and interact with, then if I'm going to pick there's several negotiation games I could think of, but I'm thinking, okay, let's just go simple and pick a classic with Sheriff. Because there's if I want 4 or 5 people sat around a table to laugh at each other, I'm going to pick a game where we're laughing because we're lying in each other's faces. So, and easy enough to teach. I've got the expansion for a couple of modules as well, but failing that, I will just play as long as you got a timer. That's the only thing. I do enforce a timer because some people let this game drag on far too long in the negotiation phase, like saying, I'm going to hang around for a bit. It's like, no, you have got so many minutes and then we stop this phase, all right? Because we don't want to be here forever. But I get such a laugh. Everyone trying to sneak past chickens and bread, and I love it when the group, including myself, role plays this, because I'm always, especially with the baker one, I'm always like saying that the baker's bread is shoddy and rubbish, and it's like mine's so much better. And somebody comes in like they had 5 chickens last round, and then they've got another 5 chickens. It's like, okay, what? I'm always like trying to role play. I don't care if I win this game at the end of the day. I'm just having too much fun mucking around. Although this goes to the same thing as the mind that you mentioned earlier, it's group dependent. So
absolutely.
Kabuki's kind of got it on point there, because I have played this with people who don't bribe, who basically are just like, this is what I say, like it or lump it. And I hate playing these sort of games with those people because you're just such boring and dry personalities of spoiling it. But there's a few people I know that will just ham this up like crazy. They will just go mad, me included. So I gotta be a little bit more picky about who I play this with. But yeah, don't play with the dry folk. Play with the fun folk. I think I've still got the first edition of this. I haven't got the revised edition. Not that really much difference between the two, to be honest, apart from slight cosmetic differences on the box front or something. But yeah, this is still a good fun one. Again, with the right group. Very group dependent. Alrighty.
Yeah, I love this. This is a lot of fun. And you just, like you said, you can't help but role play it. At least when you're the sheriff, you just have to play into that role.
Well, even if I'm not the sheriff, I'll role play. I mean, you've got your character in front of you. One of them looks like Robin Hood, the other one's a baker, the other one looks like some princess thing or something. It's just like, people can role play them all. But yeah, I mean, the sheriff can be role played in like one of like 10 different fashions, really. Is a good solid one. But is it the only negotiation game on my list? Well, we'll have to see. So 4s. And
I'm back to a controversial one with my 4.
Well, this one's slightly controversial. There, it's like my number one, Perseverance. It's like A, that's not even out yet. It's
Yeah.
like that hasn't even been released. And B, blimey, talk about picking a heavy euro for something you need to get played again. Carry on.
Yeah, so my number four is a controversial one, and you've mentioned it when you were talking about my channel as well. It's Pendulum.
Oh God.
I love it, and it's down to the timers because I think whoever says you can play the game without timers is just butchering the game. It's
Oh, well, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the whole point is those timers.
yeah, it's
I actually tried it without the timers as my first game to learn it also, and I like long before then have I ever felt so bored. It's like you
it's
need the timers.
it's pretty dull without the timers, and even when I'm teaching the game, I make sure that at least our final round is going to be with the timers, so people get to experience the real pendulum. Because with the timers, it just becomes such a stressful experience. It's unlike any other worker placement game I've played where you're constantly watching those timers and just trying to push your luck so that you can finish an action somewhere else and still place a worker in that spot before the timer locks it up. So with the timers, it's a fantastic game. Without the timers, I wouldn't play it without the timers, really.
Fantastic is a strong word, but
Well, personally, fantastic. And
uh,
at least as far as I'm aware, the group I played with it with really enjoyed it as well. Even if one of them dropped a chicken wing on it, literally the moment I pulled it out.
it's like, I need to pay him more next time. the, I mean, the timer thing was an interesting little gimmick. Even though I don't think they were, one of them kept getting stuck all the time. It was like, which was it's like, I swear the
I
sand wouldn't
had
go
that,
down
yeah,
there.
but they stole my replaced mine quickly. But yeah, I had one that got stuck, which is a big problem in a real time game.
But yeah, well, use an app. That's the thing. It's the sand timer thing. That's what's always a dubious thing. With this one, I mean, the timer thing I didn't mind too much. I mean, thematically, this game has no theme whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't even try to have a theme. It's so like, okay, seriously,
Yeah,
why have we got
yeah,
timers and that? Come on, do me a break. But I just didn't get
it's
into the
not a
rest of it because
thematic game.
I felt like, what am I actually doing here? I am literally just going on a few spaces, getting color tokens or
Mhm.
whatever it was, and turning it into points. That's literally all I'm doing with these timers. It's like, I'll go play XCOM. At least there I'm like fighting aliens and blowing up UFOs and getting cool technology pieces and stuff. But I just could like I didn't know why I was these locations here, and it's just simply a case of, oh, I'll arrange them in this, was it, I'll get stacks of blue and purple, therefore the blue and purple is a bit better. It's just like, what am I doing here? I'm playing like the driest of Euro games, which without the timers would be a Stefan Feld game, but now we've got
Oh,
timers. Kitchen Rush, actually, yeah, Kabuki mentioned Kitchen Rush. That one, that one I prefer
yeah.
though for the well, Kitchen Rush is more zany. It's co-op. It's you're running the kitchen. I mean, that one actually works better with the timers from a theme perspective, because
Mhm.
this one is like there's no reason why you're using
Yeah,
these
no,
timers.
no,
It's just
it's
there.
not a thematic game at all.
Yeah, but the timers in Kitchen Rush replicate the chaos that happens in a restaurant kitchen really well. So, and I mean, I haven't got that game, and I must admit, real time games are not my favorite ones in the world. I've got XCOM, that's one of the exceptions to the rule. I can't think I've got any other real time game on my shelf anywhere, to my knowledge. Um, so I think XCOM's the only one, and even then, that's not as high as it used to be. But yeah, so it got where it's on there. But yeah, your video with like why pendulum is up. The fact you even had to do a video on your channel to say that, it's like, look, seriously, people, pendulum's not that bad. That's like you had to make a video to justify yourself. Can you do one for the mind?
I was thinking of the next topic to do it on, and the mind did come up as an idea.
It's just like why the mind is not this bad. It's like that would be a good one too. That could work. Oh yeah, Project Elite. I played that one. That was okay, but I did that. I tried playing Project Elite solo, and it just did not work. You've really got to play it with a lot of people. How late are you, Hexy Beast? We're halfway. We're more than halfway done, so you're not doing too bad. Fuse. Oh yeah, Fuse, but the whole game is timed, and I get bored with Fuse. Flatline, whatever it was called, same thing. I get a bit bored with that one. I just don't really go for real time. Not, and I don't think it's the stress. I don't know. I've just never found a game that utilizes it well enough. Hard to say.
For me, yeah, with the mine, it's just those timers made it feel like a very fresh spin on worker placement for me. That's why I liked it. I had that kind of sense of,
Yay, cute.
stress, I
Look at
guess.
me. Some Instagrammers trying to make this look nice. It's like, no. Oh yeah, the timer track. Oh, that's what you mean about not
Oh,
using the timer. Do
yes,
not use
yeah.
this track. This
No,
track
no, no.
is. I mean, you could use it for the first round to teach the
Hmm.
game. That's fine. But as soon as people are familiar with the game, you get rid of this track because it's like
Absolutely.
you just removed your unique gimmick. Because if you remove that gimmick, you are left with a bone dry Eurofest. It's just like no.
And a
Uh,
pretty basic one at that.
hmm. I mean, that was half the thing. I just felt like if I didn't have these timers, what am I doing? And I'm doing the most basic of Euro mechanics. It's kind of weird. Stonemar's hit and miss with me in that. I mean, he had like Viticulture and Scythe and Wingspan. It's like they were just like, oh, you guys cannot put your foot wrong now. Since you released Viticulture, now you're just constantly bringing it. But then they brought out Tapestry and then this, and I just thought, what's happening to you, Stonemar? You used to be on top, and now I'm a little bit concerned. So I hope whatever they've got planned for the next new game or so it wins me back. I don't want a 3 in a row like Downer.
Have you not tried Red Rising yet?
Oh no, I haven't tried that yet. All right, I,
Same.
it. I've got no knowledge of the IP it's based
Neither
on,
do
so it
I.
hasn't really drawn me. But I'll play it if someone throws it in front of me. But it hasn't. Nothing about it is drawing me in to say, oh, I'm gonna love this. Maybe I'll like the game mechanically, but as I say, if I don't care about the IP, it's less of an incentive to want to play it really, because I'll be asking too many questions about who's this dude. It's like I don't know. I don't know. I'll try. I just didn't want to get in on the whole review crowd when that was done. Alrighty, we're on fours. Yes, fours. Well, lots of people around the table. I forget how many people this can play, actually. Probably about 8 or so. Not the biggest looker in the world, certainly from its box cover. It has to be said. It is mostly black. So it's basically black with a bit of white, so it's not exactly going to win any art awards. But you want a hidden... I did consider putting Spectre Ops on the list, but I thought, I don't want to play this with too many players. It's quite a lengthy game. I just need something I can teach nice and quick. So I went for this one, Escape from the Aliens and Outer Space. This one I have played at conventions with a great laugh. It's been a while since I've played it, so this is another reason I really want to play it after COVID's done, because I think it needs to get brought off my shelf again at some point. But an easy teach, and yes, like I say, it's not a looker, but this replicates the Alien style hidden movement perfectly. Everybody's got their flip chart with a dry erase pen to, hide away. If you're the alien, you're hunting the... Have you played this one?
I haven't. It's been on my wish list for ages, and it's probably about time I get it, because I've never seen anyone I know in any of the groups bring it, and I've been wanting to play it for a long time, because it seems like, yeah, it captures that alien kind of theme,
Yeah.
the whole trying to escape.
And it can work with fewer players. I mean, not 2, but I mean, at least not to my knowledge. But certainly, even with 3 or 4, there's maps that scale with number of players. But just a simple case of flip a card, and depending whether it's a gear or blue and red in that, you kind of say, fair enough, I'm at D3, but then depending what card you picked up, that could have been the truth, or you had to lie, or you have to tell the truth. And you know which role you are, but you don't know who everybody else is. So it's kind of like, I know you're close to me, but are you friendly? So as soon as they start closing in your position, it's just like, I don't trust you. I'm going away. It's like, you're an alien. It's like, I'm actually human. It's okay. Don't trust you. The lights are off. I can't tell. So, at conventions, this is a great lab, but I don't think I've brought this to my Portsmouth club, or at least if I have, it was like once ages ago. And I think it's about time that changed. It just leads to a great amount of laughs. I mean, God knows what notation you can do with there. But I do agree with some of them is that you do need to sleeve these cards. As much as these dry erase pads and that are cool, these cards are not the best of quality. So you want to sleeve everything in there. And it's like, oh God, they recommended it. Oh dear. I don't want it now. I'm going to burn my copy. But That it's a good solid one. It hasn't been played for a while, but I'd have to teach Spectre Ops to God knows how many like with the rules, and that could take forever. This one we could wrap up in an hour, even after teaching it, and that's it with people going slow. But again, I wouldn't want to play Spectre Ops with more than 3 people, really. 4 of us absolute max. This one, oh, we got 6 to 8 people. Fine. We're allowed 6 people per table, I think, at the cafe. So if we fill the whole 6, I'm definitely bringing this one out.
Yeah, I need to finally pull the trigger on it sometime soon.
That'll work on there. Right. Hello, Darren. Just for turning up. Don't worry about being here late. You can always watch the rest later. Certainly, we've had some heated discussions in the earlier ones. Well, I say heated discussions. It's more me ragging on poor Alex. It's probably been a little bit one-sided. It's more like poor Alex defending himself from my wrath. I'm hoping that there's a game on my list somewhere that you hate, just so that you can return the favor. But have I mentioned any game you don't like yet?
Not yet. We'll see. We're in the top 3, so it's gonna be
Fair.
one you really like, maybe.
We'll say, although speaks volumes. See, nobody. I can rag on other people's lists. They can't rag on mine. What does that say? I hate too many games. I suspect that's more what it says. Actually, oh wait a minute. I just looked at my number 3. Oh, this could be interesting. We'll get on to that one. You first.
Right. My number 3 is from, if I'm not mistaken, it's from a designer of one of the other games. One of the controversial ones, because my number 3 is Wavelength, and if I'm not mistaken, it was designed by the same guy who made The Mind.
Wolfgang Wash, I think so. Yes, yeah, it was.
And it's just such a fun game with people. It sparks discussions instantly with that whole scheme of it, and I just loved it. We had so many good games, and you can play it with so many people. It's obviously group dependent as well, but we had something like, what was it? We had that range card between good and evil, and the person gave us a hint of Boris Johnson.
Ooh.
And then we were stuck figuring out, well, how far does he rank, compared to Hitler on the bad side, and I don't know, Jesus or something on the good side.
It's like, who's giving us the clue? A conservative or a Labour? I don't know. It's like, oh, could he have not picked someone better?
Yeah, I think it was actually somewhere in the middle, and I think that's what we guessed. But there's just so many good discussions with it. You do need to you do need to have a good group for it, because I have had a game of it where people just didn't get into it, and that's no fun. But when you get the conversation going, it's amazing.
Yeah, I like this one. I sold my copy eventually because I don't think it was getting enough plays. Like, maybe I couldn't wow as many people over to it as I did. I mean, I didn't love it, but I liked it, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I'll play it whenever someone suggests it. I don't know why it just didn't catch on with a few others, but I think my cafe has a copy. So maybe I'll have to hunt this down and bring it out just for, like I say, it's a quick party teach. And I like the dial. I think we might have played it slightly wrong at first, but it doesn't matter. But I love some of these cards that you can get, the weird ones. In fact, where was that one I had a few things ago? Some of them are a bit hard to figure out. But...
yeah, I think we had something like a dog name, cat name, and it's hard to give a clue for that.
Oh, that word, yeah, but I mean, ugly man, beautiful man, low quality, high quality, guilty pleasure, openly love. It's quite a useless invention, useful invention. So it's like, toothbrush. Where does that feature? Is that a lot of these are good, and it does bring about some really good discussions, as Kabuki said. That's the thing with this. Group dependent. Hard to say. I don't know. I say Zygome's on your side with that one, but yeah, I like this one as well, and you can get a lot of players with it. It's easy enough. Yeah, I mean, you could pick pretty much any party game or something, and you'd want to play it post-COVID just for the sheer idea of discussion and laughter and many players. But this is a pretty solid one. Just couldn't fit on my shelf much longer, but certainly I can't remember. Did I give it to my cafe or I think I sold it? I think the cafe must have already had a copy. Otherwise, I would have given it straight to them because it fits the profile of a cafe thing perfectly.
Yeah, and it's a popular game as well. So.
But one thing I will say about Dice is that they're pretty well stocked now. Although part of that is possibly because they've been listening to me a bit more often. Not for like good games, but they started off with like every Kickstarter that ever got donated to them on their shelves or something. It's like, seriously, nobody is coming to your cafe as a new gamer and wants to play your obscure £50 million
Hmm.
Kickstarter that was rubbish when it was made. It's like there's some obscure stuff, and it's like, get those off your shelf and put these on there. It's like, here's some nice gateway titles, and that is quite a nice range on it now. But I think when they started off, they were limited on what games they had. This is like before
Hmm.
Asmodee started donating stuff to them, and it's just like, yeah, boy, you were like pulling it out of wherever you could find a spare game. All right, my number 3. This could be the. I literally looked at my 3 as we went onto those credits, and I thought, oh god, this could be the one that Aleks gives me a go on. Could it be my favorite game on my top 100 this year? Possibly. It certainly has been for multiple years, though, so without a question. I would love to play a co-op game with people once we get back into the swing of things. So it's like, okay, well, which co-op game would I definitely want to show more people? And of course, it's got to be this one. It has to be. I can play this one solo, and I do enjoy it solo, but yeah, I want to get 4 of us round a table, and I want to teach 3 new people how to play Sentinels, because I will play this with anybody, any which way but loose. Absolutely adore this one, and I did the interview with Christopher Bedell for the new version. I mean,
Hmm.
somebody's been fan making these ones, but the new definitive edition is gonna look pretty sweet, I think. Actually, I mean, I'll probably collect it on top of what I've got, because I've got my complete set with fan made content and that as well. Like, I've got like the massive collector's box and then some in there. Like, I have really pimped out my version, but I can play that myself. So I would be able to use the definitive one as a teaching tool, because that one will be a bit easier for people to get into. But yeah, I feel like I need a co-op for this list, and of course, I'll pick my favorite. I just absolutely adore playing this game. But if you're gonna hate on me for anything on my list, this would be the one.
I've not played it, but I can say that was also
Safe.
interested in playing it. I don't know, somehow, if I was going for superheroes, I'd go for something like Marvel Champions or some the properties I recognize. Maybe
Hmm.
I could see the appeal of this because it is kind of the characters without a set up backstory, pretty much. Well, without years and years of comic book
Hmm.
history, so maybe. But
Yeah, I mean
yeah, this one didn't seem like a game for me.
I mean they parody a lot of the Marvel and DC stuff anyway, in a sense. But I like the idea that it's not the same like
Mhm.
IP stuff, because it's got its own universe, and you read some of the backstories on some of these characters, and they make sense, and they've got comic strips effectively out for them, and I would certainly play it. I mean,
Hmm.
those tuck boxes are not in the game. Someone's just done some major
Oh.
pimp. Someone's done some major pimping out on that one, and I approve. But I get a kick out of this one, because it just puts me. I love superheroes anyway. This one just
Hmm.
puts me in that superhero style setting. Loads of different heroes, loads of different villains. I can get all the variety I like. And when I teach this game, usually everyone gets into it, because I can say, look, who's your favorite hero? Oh, Batman. All right, take the Wraith. Here you go. It's effectively Batgirl. Here's your deck. That's your deck. It's like, so you haven't got these cards. Nope, that's yours. It's like, you are there. Get your utility belt and all your gadgets out, and then start laying waste. It's like, okay, so what are you doing? Oh, well, I'm Tachyon. I'm the Flash, basically. I'm doing this entirely different mechanic, but it's so balanced with each other that you can't be a Lone Ranger in this. You've got to be you've got to be a team. Somebody might be dealing all the damage, somebody might be taking all the hits, somebody might be like healing you up and that, but if one person tries to do it all by themselves, you're going to fail.
That sounds cool. Like it would give you that proper Justice League or Avengers kind of feeling where you work as a team.
Hmm. It just gets into that theme. There's a couple of people I know I play this with. In fact, somebody who actually made their own fan content and gave a bunch of it to me for my birthday. A mate of mine called Jacob. He knew I loved the game so much, he made some content for me, which I thought was really cool.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but when we play it, we'll get into these. We'll be doing like voices for the heroes and that, and it's just I would love to see a TV series done of Sentinels. I would absolutely go mad on
Hmm.
this, and yeah, they're so perfectly. Yeah, I mean they have made them pretty balanced in a way. I mean they're different difficulty levels, but they certainly work on that front. But I thought this might have been your chance to have a go at me for being meteor earlier, because I know other people in the chat or in the comments probably would. But oh well, safe. I think I'm safe for the other 2 on my list as well. So we'll find out.
My number 2 is a very big game. Huge.
What
Space
size?
themed. No, space themed, huge game.
Oh,
Twilight
really?
Imperium 4?
Fair enough.
I've
I didn't realize that. I mean, I thought your group sounded like it was quite small, so I was curious. It's
Oh no,
like,
well,
would
I've only played this one once at the last UK Games Expo we could attend.
okay?
So what was it, 2019, I guess? Yeah,
Feels
it
like
was
so
it.
long ago. Yeah.
I know. It was a 4-player game that took us probably roughly 4 to 5 hours. But
That's
I
actually good
felt,
going for that game. But yeah.
yeah, I felt engaged throughout. I had, what was the name of my race? I think Venus, something like that. Basically, I got points for controlling that Mechatol Rex, the center planet. So from at the start of the game, I made a beeline for that planet, tried to score as many points as I could. Then once the armies turned up around it, negotiated my way with other people that I'll sit here, score my point, and then peacefully leave.
Mm.
Did that, and then I was this close to winning. The only reason I didn't is because another player had a card that let him go earlier, and he had the potential to score all the points he needed to actually win.
Right.
But it
Okay.
was an awesome experience with just so much interaction between players, and you're constantly engaged that it just doesn't feel like that long a game to me. And I just
It's.
love to try it again and see if it's going to be the same experience, really.
I certainly do feel the length with this one. I mean, that's my only problem
Mm.
with it. It's. I mean, I'd be surprised if it wasn't on at least your list or somebody's list if I did it with. I mean, you've just actually synced with Leon in the chat because his number 2 is also TI4. And they, this is one of those games that you're only going to play with a ton of people and you're never going to
Yeah.
get them together in COVID. This is about as ripe for this list as you can possibly get. And I do like a lot of stuff about it. I mean, it does look great. I love the variety of these different races and how they work. I mean, I like playing the Lions just because I, for some reason, just love Aslan from Narnia Tales or something. Because I decided great that you're playing a lion. But then I like the ones who tech up quick, the university and stuff like that. The problem is I don't like playing this as a warmonger. And the problem I have with a lot of people who play this game is that the game devolves into everybody cluster around Mechatol Rex and just beat each other up. And it's like, I've got no interest in getting involved in that smorgasbord cluster of like people just bashing each other in with no idea as to who's supposed to go out on top. I'm sitting at the back going, all right, this next technology looks cool. I can use that as because I like doing the tech stuff. I want to do the trade. I want to do more of the politics phase stuff. And
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
but
that's
the
my favorite part.
but the politics phase seems really underpowered compared to just going out and killing everyone. But I mean, like I say, I still enjoy playing it that way. I want to play the next time I play it. I know they're tricky to play. I want to play this necrovirus next
Oh
because I
yeah,
hear
they
that they're just
sounded interesting.
annoying. Like I hover around your planet and steal your tech. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds perfect. But nah, my mates occasionally get me to play this one. If it's a convention or something like that, or maybe a friend of mine has this game. So if he ever decides to not be like paranoid enough to let us around his house again because he's got a lot of other big games I want to play, then we can play this one. Because I will play it, and with people who are familiar with the game, you can at least enjoy the time you're having. I just wish it wasn't 6+ hours long. It's
Yeah,
just
I
too
just I just
long.
need to find someone in Birmingham who owns a copy of it and just befriend them so I can play it more regularly.
Yeah, well, regularly this game. I mean, if you're playing this
Well,
regularly, this is your
say
life game.
once a month, once every couple of months. That's probably regular enough for a game this big.
Hmm. I haven't played this with Prophecy of Kings. Though. I mean, I see what the expansion brings. It looks like it's got a lot of cool stuff, but for crying out loud, the expansion costs as much as the game, and the game wasn't exactly cheap. It's like kind of ridiculous. But I say Twilight's a good one. I don't know when I'll play it next. It's one of those games where I'm like, I'll play it if it's suggested, but I'm not going to lose sleep if I miss it or something. But it's still pretty solid. I'm hoping that Stellaris is going to be like my big epic sort of strategy
Hmm.
space game or something. Because as much as I love Empires of the Void 2, that's more of a light-hearted space game. It's still my favorite one, but I would like for Stellaris to really nail that
I
strategic
think
space game.
once I can get my hands on it, I want my big space game to probably be Eclipse Second Edition. Because to
No.
me, to me, it just seems like it combines, the space team with Brass Birmingham, making it like an economic space game.
Well, it does that. That's the problem.
That's what I want.
No. It's like it's not even you could take the space out of Eclipse and you'd end up with the same game. It's basically just balance your checkbook in space for 4 hours. That's what Eclipse is. Where you hover around space areas and get technology at random times. It's like that's not how technology works. It's like no. And as I Kabuki's already said, this is what I'm on about with Stellaris. It is that
Mm,
board game that they're doing, Academy Games. So I kickstarted it. So Academy Games have got the pedigree to make that work. Don't mess it
mm.
up. So I'm really like hopeful that they don't screw it up. Yes, I have played the PC game. I've got the PC game. I've played it solo. It sucked up many hours of my time, although I haven't played it in a while. And I did do a multiplayer campaign with some friends recently on Sunday evenings. That was good fun. We might play it again at some point, although it's changed quite dramatically recently, even patches, so God knows what it's like now. But nah, it's a solid space game. The idea that the expansion shortens this game by about 20% intrigues me, though.
Mm.
Because, honestly, if you can shorten this game, it kind of needs it.
That'll be shaving a solid hour off a game.
Well, it needs a solid hour. I mean, when it says makes it shorter, if you just say 30 minutes, that's not quite good enough. This game needs at least about 25% of its time shaved every game without fail to bring me back into saying, right, I'll play it more often. It's just that huge length is just like, that is the problem. It's like, this is your event game. You'll play it maybe at a convention and then
Mhm.
that's it. You'll pack it up and you won't play it again unless you are one of these regulars that plays nothing else. But yeah, you're going to have to wait for post-COVID for that one. That's for certain.
Mhm.
Alrighty, and number 2. Yep, we're not on those. 2. I mentioned this one earlier when I was talking about another game, but I was trying to be crafty enough that I didn't reveal that it was coming up on the list. I mentioned it briefly when I was talking about Sheriff of Nottingham and other negotiation games. I have not played
Yeah, I
this one
think I
in
know.
ages. It's got to get played. I need 4 or 5 of us round the table who I think haven't played this one yet. So I'll be teaching new players. Give me some aliens, give me some powers, and give me a bit of cosmic encounter. It's like I, I mean, I watched the Dice Tower play of this recently, and it's like, yeah, I need to get this back out. So I need to get it back out. I need to be like doing crafty alliances, lying to people's faces about negotiate cards and things like that with all these funky powers. I mean, my box is crammed with stuff. I'm not even. I might have every expansion. I'm not sure. I kind of regret getting every expansion because there's just too much in there now. There's 1 or 2 of them I could have probably survived without, and it does make setup a bit of a chore. But the more I get that game organized, I wonder if I've got an insert in it, folded space. I have to check, but
Mm.
the game itself is just great fun. Again, it's group dependent. You can't have the dry player in this game, but I mean, that dry player wouldn't even sign up to play this game as soon as I'd explained it. Show them some of these aliens and how their powers were. There's no way a dry player is going to set foot in this game. But I get a kick out of it. I love negotiation games in general, I think. And that doesn't necessarily mean I want like a negotiation game that's set in a medieval world between 2 kingdoms or something. That would probably still bore me. Although the what was it called? King's Dilemma? That was quite good fun. I mean, I didn't really care about the theme and that, but that was a good fun negotiation game just in general. But yeah, you give me like alien powers and all this. I have no idea what that is, but all right, fine. Simplistic enough. Flip the card. I'm attacking green. Who wants to be on my side? Who's got some funky power that's going to make this ridiculous? It's also good. I love the parasite from the base set. That's always a good one. Is that if you don't know that the parasite, it's normally when you make alliances, you choose who you want to come with. The parasite basically can automatically say, "I'm helping you out," and they don't get a choice. It's like, oh, you don't want me to help? Well, guess what, boy? I'm coming over anyway. It's like, it's just like, it's so annoying for other players because it's just like, I don't want you to help Luke, but I'm coming. It's like, no, Luke, you cannot help me, but I'm coming anyway. It's like you can just so troll people. It's such a good one. That's just one power. I've got so many powers in there, it's kind of ridiculous. I have not even used, well, of course I haven't used them all. It's physically impossible to
Mm.
use them all. So this one's definitely a hit for, I gotta get, this is gonna be like one of the first ones I bring out.
I'm
Not
gonna
much you
have
not
to
played?
I'm gonna have to hold off for like a minute before I talk about this one.
Oh, I see. I got you, fishy. I got you. But fair enough. Well, like I say, well, why don't we migrate there so you can talk about
Yeah.
it a bit more, eh? Busted. So as
Well,
we were just saying,
it's obviously it's Cosmic Encounter. This was literally the moment we decided on the topic we're gonna do for the top 10, and I started making my list. This was literally the first game I wrote down because I really want to get this played again. I'm convinced that you can. It's pretty much impossible not to have fun while playing it.
it is if you get those sort of people. I have
Well,
seen this happen,
yeah,
but yeah.
sort of. I've luckily not had those sort of people yet because every game has been exciting, and whenever we played it, especially because most of the time I play at meetup groups in Birmingham, so it's usually kind of different people coming in. The first and usually we'll play a game and then go play something else, especially if it's a longer game.
Yeah.
With Cosmic Encounter, I brought it out. We played it the first time, then which is what it's about an hour and a half long, maybe. Then we
Yeah.
reset it all back up, got new races out, and played the consecutive second time.
Although
Met
hour and a
up.
half shouldn't have taken you an
Well,
hour and a half to play this.
maybe more like an hour. It's been ages since I've played it now.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, then we met up the next weekend and probably spent that whole meetup just playing that. We must have played about 3 or 4 consecutive games of Cosmic Encounter.
Hmm.
And it's just hilarious with every single race, just figuring out what everyone can do. Every time someone reads out what they can do, the reaction is always, "Excuse me, what can you do?"
Yeah, so some of these are just so game breaking. I remember,
Like I think was it Zombie or the one that whose ships just never go to the void, or
yeah.
the one that can take the planet and use it as one of their
Well,
spaceships as well.
well, people sort of as soon as they see the zombie, they'll think like, oh, it's overpowered or something. It's like, though it just functions in a different way. Trust me, there's some
Yeah.
weirder powers in there. I mean, like I say, the parasite's already a bit of a pain. You know, I can join any combat I feel like, but some of the ones, yeah, some of the new ones like the Bride and that, where you can like constantly shifting allegiances, like marrying other races, or so, which is great. I mean, people will role play this like crazy, but the best one I've had is uh, it was one of Paul Grogan's. Well, actually, oh no, it wasn't one of his cons. I don't think it. Oh, maybe, oh, I don't care, but I think it was like an early grid con down Devon way. They had like a pub nearest Exeter way, I think, or something like that. But we had an 8-player Cosmic Encounter game going, like big table, and we had one of those going, and we did the team version, so 2 teams of 2. So I
Hmm.
teamed up with a girl who had never met before, who didn't know the game that well, but it's like, doesn't matter, it's a negotiation game. We're going to be good
Yeah.
fun here. And she had the power that it's not the Oracle, it's something else. She gets to predict win or lose, and if you predict right, you get bonuses.
I don't remember the race, but we've played with that one.
Yeah, so she had that bit, and it's like, okay, cool. So, you know, she's asking me, like, what do you think's going to be the prediction here or something? And that's cool. I had the Void, right? And the Void,
Mhm.
yeah, oh yeah, because I don't think it's called the Void in the middle. So, but yeah, I had called the Void, and basically the Void, if he destroys any of your ships, they're out of the game. Like nothing,
Oh, yes.
they don't go to the warp. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
called.
the
They just
warp, not the void, yes.
yeah, but they basically just go out the whole game. Like that's it, done. So everybody is paranoid as hell of me coming anywhere around the corner. But we carried on. It was doing quite well. And the penultimate turn, maybe the final turn was whatever. We captured a planet and won. That was easy. But the penultimate turn that sealed the deal was one guy was getting a not cocky, but he was in a powerful state because he had the one where I think each ship of his was worth like 40 or something stupid. You know, it's like basically
Mhm.
like one ship is worth a ton, and he had a ton of them on one planet. It's kind of like, yeah, if he goes and attacks anybody with that force, you're kind of screwed. So I got to him, went to attack that planet, and it's like, you're not going to believe me if I say we're going to negotiate, right? No, okay, fine. It's like we go in there, and I played. We had the kicker cards as well, and I think he flipped up quite a high attack, but I flipped over a times 4 40. so
Oh.
I'd saved those 2 cards for like the battle I needed it. So I went in with 160 versus whatever the hell he had. It's like, I don't care how many ships you got on that planet, mate. You try beating 160, all in the void, all out of the game. He had like 2 ships left. Kind of like crazy and that. And then the next turn we'd won anyway. But it's just like, just in case you wanted to guess if we were going to win this, it's like, I hope you predicted I was going to win this combat because trust me, I knew I was. Like, I still remember that one though, just sending like 14 ships to the void. And that's to say,
It's
the powers are just great.
Yeah, it's such a fun game, and as soon as I can get it played, I want to get it played. If I can get it, if UK Games Expo goes on, I'd love to get it played there. Just anywhere I can get it played, I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, it's definitely getting taken to my cafe on the first Wednesday, I think. So the 19th, because I'm going there on the 18th. Well, 17th is at Southampton, and maybe I could bring Cosmic Encounter there. We'll see. 18th is I'm only going to dice with one person there, but that's because I got to get War of the Ring played, and he's helping me with that. I mean, that's why War of the Ring is not on this list, because I didn't put any games on this list that I've not played yet. Because of course I
Yeah,
want to play them
same.
post-COVID, but that goes without saying. But we're hoping to play War of the Ring on the 18th, so that will, fingers crossed, go well. And the 19th is our first normal club meeting. It's like, yeah, Cosmic Encounters getting played then, as well as my number 1, because this is my party game for the list. Like, straight up party. Doesn't matter if you win or lose, but I have not, even though this is a group dependent game, I've never had a poor game of this. This seems to be the one that groups can just gel with really easily, or they just get into it. Or if one person maybe isn't, it's barely noticeable because everybody else is falling out of their chair laughing. And I think it was my number 10 of my top 100 last year. It's probably going to hover around the area because this, hands down, is my favorite party game of all time, Detective Club. This one, not a lot of people have heard of it because it was done by a European publisher, and it's only just, I think, started to get a bit more distribution from other publishers. But if you get a chance to play this, you've got to. It's kind of, I find it a kind of a cross between Dixit and Snake Oil. Do you know those 2 games? Well, you know Dixit, presumably. What about
Yeah, I've
Snake Oil?
played Dixit. I haven't heard of Snake Oil.
Well, I'll try to describe. Well, Dixit, it uses those cards, so it's got those funky art cards, and that works. But what you're doing in this is each round you sort of take it in turns. You'll have one clue giver, a bit like Dixit, and the others not. What happens is that the clue giver thinks of a single word to do with a card to do with 2 cards in their hand, because everybody's going to play 2 cards. And the idea is that the other players, I need to find one of the game in action, and that's the problem I'm having at the moment. There's not a huge amount of pictures of the game in action, which kind of say, oh, wait a minute, hang on, is this better? Whatever, it'll have to do. Maybe this will work. That's better. That's a much better picture. So I say I put out this weird like Cthulhu tree, and there's a single word clue. But what I do before I say what the clue word is, those notepads around. Oh, actually, no, not Snake or Spyfall. Do you know that one?
Spyfall. I've not played it. I've heard of it, but I haven't played it.
That's probably a better comparison. But either way, I go on these notepads, and on all but one of them, I write the clue word down. Single word. So I pass them randomly back to players, so everybody gets the clue word in advance, except for one person who's blank. Okay, they don't know what it is. I then put the first card down, and then clockwise, the players put another card out that they think best relates to the word. The person who doesn't know what the word is looking at what cards are being played out and trying to sort of keep on the same theme, if possible. I then put a second card out, we go back round, and everybody's got 2 cards out. Now, that's the normal bit. Here's where the fun begins, because I then reveal the clue word to everybody. So if I said, like, I don't know, if my clue word was table or whatever, that's the clue word. And then what happens is that clockwise order from me, each player has to justify why their 2 cards relate to that clue word. Now, that might sound like that's impossible for the person who doesn't know it to do, but I find myself pretty good as that player. But the idea is that you've just got to be good at lying on the fly. So it can be tense for some people, but I love it. But the thing is, even if you know what the clue word was, that doesn't mean the cards in your hand relate to it very well. So my clue word might be table, but if somebody has got nothing in their hand that relates remotely to table, then their explanation for why their card relates to it can still sound like complete rubbish. so everybody's eyeing up people as they come up with these ludicrous explanations for their cards, and not necessarily because of fault of their own. And then the person who doesn't know what it is, that person has just heard table, and then they're looking at their two cards going, how the hell do I relate these to table? But then they come up with their own stupid answer. Because everybody else is a bit uncertain, they can hide in the crowd. And then with the magnifying glasses, you vote on who you want. And there's points awarded for hiding and guessing the correct person. But the clue giver wants the conspirator to get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit like Dixit, you've got to come up with a clue word that's not too cryptic, not too obvious. So there's that hard bit there.
It sounds really good. It sounds great. I'll definitely need to look it up. It sounds like it should be such a fun game to play.
It's so good. I mean, Paul says it sounds a bit like Comedian and Apples to Apples. I can't remember exactly how Comedian works, but it's not like Apples to Apples. Apples to Apples is that one of like somebody writes down what they think, or like some funny word, and somebody votes on the best one or something like that. That one you're going for who said the funniest thing, as far as I'm aware, with Apples to Apples. Because Say Anything is like that, but this one is more, as I say, Dixit with Spyfall is a better comparison, because Spyfall was similar. You were trying to figure out who the odd person was. You were at a location. Everybody but the spy knew what location they were at. So you were asking each other questions, trying to figure out, well, who legitimately knows where we are and who doesn't. But you couldn't give away to the spy where you were. So, really cool little mini game. But this one takes that and combines it with the Dixit cards. But I've just never had a bad game of this, because everyone is falling out of their chair with the ludicrous explanations. And I've heard some not necessarily controversial ones. I've heard some like slightly gross ones, where people have like, you haven't got a filter on, you've decided to use this mentality. But again, you've got all these funky Dixit cards. And the great thing with this is it doesn't matter if you mix the cards. Because, with Mysterium and that, people were like, oh, can I combine the cards? And it's like,
yeah,
you can. It will create a bit of a different dynamic, but you can do so. But this one, that's the back of the card. Whoopee. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the back of the card says. I can literally just go into my Dixit box, pull out 90 different cards, and the game works exactly the same. Because it doesn't matter what pictures there are. At the end of the day, you're just coming up with a clue word and trying to justify why your turtle in armor riding the thing relates to, wine. It's like, and you can get some. You've got to be pretty cryptic with some of these, because some of these pictures are just like, how the hell am I supposed to relate this to Apple? It's like, come on, you've given me nothing to work with here. And I've been in that situation. I love being rarely do I get that blank notepad. It's really annoying, but I love being that person trying to, screw their way out of it. But then it's also hilarious and frustrating at the same time when you know what the clue word is, but your two cards are rubbish and you're pleading with everybody else. It's like, no, seriously, these were just rubbish cards. And it's like, Luke, that's a horrible explanation. Well, what do you do with these? All right, I had nothing to work with. It was great. But if I see people that this is in the bag, hands down. Even if Cosmic Encounter is like, probably will be, but there's a chance of saying this is in the bag. No questions asked. Southampton and the Portsmouth Club. I'm bringing this. We're playing it. End of story. And you do as well. Right. Whew. I say 10 games, a decent little mix there, actually. And certainly, I think we're going with that whole thing of, maybe with the exception of some of the Euros that both of us mentioned, it's more a case of we need the players, we need the interaction, we need, if it's not the laughter, we need the interaction part.
Absolutely.
Because even Brash, you could argue, has got some interaction with other players, and certainly like Twilight Imperium's got plenty enough of that. Even like Scythe, you have still got to interact with the players to a certain extent, once you get in, although that one's more of a player count thing. So it's that kind of thing. We've been in COVID for, it's like, take care, Darren, before he runs. But that's the idea. We want people again. We want to get to an indoor location with, up to 6 people or so there. And if you're not going to let us hug anyone, fine, I'll live. Because it's like, I haven't hugged anyone apart from my parents in ages. And it's like, come on. Because I don't tend to do the shake hand thing. yeah, I tend to just sort of like friendly hug. That's just the way I am. But yeah, obviously I've been banned for doing that for a year so far, and then people were sort of doing the whole like, oh, we got to be slightly safe. Oh, we're not even allowed to do fist bump anymore. It's like, for crying out loud. It's a fist bump. It's not going to be that bad. And even then, I just don't get the whole fist bump or something. It's like, shake my hand if you want to, or give me a hug. That's what I say at
Hmm.
conventions. But that'd be good. But chat, we've still got about 10 minutes left before I would wrap this up normally. And that, get us some ideas. What were you expecting us to put on, or what would you want to play post COVID? Because I want to hear some ideas in there. So spam the chat with all these ideas. Uh, did you have any others on your,
Yeah,
shall we say?
I had some honorable mentions. I had some like the Dune, the Gale Force 9 version of Dune on it because
Yeah.
I've played it once. It's a good game, but and definitely needs preferably all 6 players because all of the factions
Mm.
kind of bounce off each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not that it's a difficult game to teach necessarily. It's a difficult game to play with. It's very punishing if you make a mistake early on. And in the first game we played, one player did make a mistake where basically he committed too much to a conflict,
Yeah.
lost his troops, and he never recovered for the rest of what, like 2 3 hour long game.
But okay, I've not actually played the Gale Force 9 version of Dune, but then I know nothing about Dune. I got Dune Imperium, and I don't even understand half of the stuff in there or something. Until the new movie comes out, I just know nothing about Dune, and I'm waiting for that.
I'm really looking forward to that movie. I've read the book, which was very good, and it looks like the movie's gonna do it justice. So hopefully,
Hopefully, because people keep saying read the book, and it's like I ain't got time to read anything, so that's not going to
it's a
happen.
thick book.
But
It's
then
a
people
thick book as
say,
well.
oh, but the movie lets down on a few notes, and so does the miniseries. And it's like, all right, so I'm just going to wait for this new movie then. It's like, that's pretty much the deal on that. What have we got there? Space Empire. Somebody, like, blimey, like, pick a heavy game on there. No, nobody's looking forward to playing Concordia. What you on about? Western Legends. Western Legends is a good one. That was on the short list, I think. Zaya. Not really. I mean, Zaya I've got, but I'm only going to play that solo. I mean, to play that with more people, I would refuse to play it with more than two, just because of how long it takes. Yeah, the downtime in Zaya is ridiculous if you take it above 2 players. It really is. So I don't know why I would. But yeah, if I'm just playing it solo, it wouldn't work for mine. I did think of Deception, Murder, and Uncon, if you know that one.
No, I know it's a negotiation game, isn't it? But I've not played it. I don't know anyone who's got it, so I've never had a chance to.
Really, it's a quite common one, I would have thought. But I mean, yeah, negotiation, find the traitor, solve. Bit like Mysterium. One person can't talk, give the clues and that. But
Hmm.
it's people arguing with each other about how particular items can be used to kill people. It's it's essentially what it boils down to. But it's a solid one in that. Sid Real Confluence. I mentioned that I need to try and play that one. I've never
Yeah, I'd
no.
love to try and play that one too. It seems fun, but it seems like it would be a huge game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Star Trek Ascendancy is another one on my previous list that I said I want to play, but likely will never get
I
the chance. So,
I tried that one. We tried that one on Tabletop Simulator. That was pretty fun actually, but I
oh, it
think
takes
Tabletop
forever on
Simulator
tabletop.
just it was a long game and we didn't get to finish it because it crashed. Tabletop Simulator just stopped working for us.
Oh, that's got to be harsh.
Yeah, it was a bit sad because we had by that point we had invested probably two,
Ooh.
3 hours into it, and it seemed like maybe we
And you
would.
couldn't load it up again.
No, I don't remember what went wrong with it. Just something stopped working about it.
I mean, the problem is, as much as I like Tabletop Simulator and that, it basically adds an extra 30 minutes to 60 minutes to every game you play on it. Like, no game is short or normal length on tabletop because there is no. You cannot quicken, you cannot substitute moving your hand to somewhere subconsciously and picking
Absolutely.
up a piece compared to clicking with the mouse, doing it, rotating cameras and that. And if you're doing that turn after turn, the time adds up.
Yeah.
I love TTS is great. I love it. But yeah, you're gonna be there for a lot longer than you would love to be. It's just it's something we've had to use on the basis that I can play a bunch of games during lockdown. So I don't think I ever used it before then, apart from occasionally for solo games. Like I mean, I can play Spirit Island with Jagged Earth on there, and I haven't got Jagged Earth expansion, so it's like, oh, cool, I can do that then.
Yeah. I see
I got a
Kabuki Kid's in the same position as I am with Lost Ruins of Arnak. I literally got it a couple of days back and haven't played it yet, and I really want to.
Oh, that's definitely that. See you later, Hexy. But
So,
yeah,
yeah.
that one is a Jonathan. Can I see my? Whoops, no. Can I? Oh yeah, I need to share the screen again because I've got my shortlist because I basically Google Drive all these things in advance, and I'm wondering if it will share my my shortlist. This is basically what I do now. I basically like sort of brainstorm on one here. But what did I have? Suburbia. I haven't played that in a long time. I just want to get it played again, but I just thought, nah, that's not desperate post COVID. Gingopolis, that fell off because I wanted to exclude games that I hadn't played, and I've only played Gingopolis solo. So I want to play it, and I will get it played multiplayer, but I don't know what it's like, so it didn't really count. Vindication, Detective Western Legends, someone already mentioned that was on the shortlist. An interactive sandbox Western game. Of course, that's going to be good to have with loads of people. Alien Frontiers, just haven't played it in a while. Carson City, haven't played it in a while, and that's an interactive Euro. You can shoot each other off the spaces. Tokaido, I'm not sure why that was on there. I think just because I wanted something relaxing when I came back, and I just thought that'd work. Empires of the Void 2, Mysterium, as you said, I did shortlist that one. That was very tempting. I think when I thought, well, I've already got Detective Club, I didn't really need two of these, so I kept that one. Whistle Mountain, just because I've been enjoying that since my review. Sleeping Gods. Dwellings of Elder Vale was another one that's been popular with 2 or 3 people at my club, so I know that would get played if I brought it along, and that would be like, okay, here's my big boom, big box game, my Twilight Imperium 4 equivalent big box or something to shove on the table. And Pursuit of Happiness, just because, like I say, it's a Euro, but that game of life it's a bit like I think because Vindication pushed this one off slightly because I wanted to. With Vindication, you kind of inject your own theme and role play into it. Pursuit of Happiness is a bit like that, when you're deciding I'm going to live my life by growing a bonsai tree, becoming a ninja, and then joining the bicycle gang when I'm in my 60s after I've already had a family with Debbie and stuff. All that. I mean, have you heard of the game?
I've heard of it. I looked at the Kickstarter when it was on, and I don't remember if
Good,
it's
so
the
I'm not just talking complete rubbish to you.
No. And I don't remember if it's the shipping that was too expensive or if I needed the full box, kind of the full package, and that just seemed like too big of an investment. But I really want to pick that up. It just sounds like a very unique spin on a Euro game.
A bit of both. I mean, you don't need all the extra content, although it's nice, but definitely I would say the shipping probably wasn't as good, but then it was from Greece, so that kind of makes sense. Nishant has questioned Dwellings of Eldervale. If you don't know what that is, no, but he probably hadn't heard of it because it was a Kickstarter before. But we are doing, that's the one. The big massive loot lorry box. It was on the Kickstarter, so that one is the one to go for. What else we got? Everdell, Illuminati.
Oh yeah, I'd like to play Everdell.
Illuminati, cool, blimey, that's going back to nostalgia. Used to play that with a few people back at college, I think. Yeah, college and early university. I remember playing that just for the last. Oh, that's because he was answering Yogi's about overthrowing the world government, probably. Which actually, I don't think you overthrow the government there, but yeah, you're doing all sorts of weird stuff in there. Mansions of Madness. I can play that solo, so if I want to play it, I'll play it. That's why it wouldn't make my list. I get this one though. I mean, I didn't desperately think of 2-player games because I thought if I want somebody to come around, I can think of somebody who will come around my house right now and play a 2-player game if I really want, if they really want to. So I didn't really want to, and say War of the Ring, I'm gonna get played, but I haven't played it yet, so I kind of left that one out. As much as I would love to get Star Wars Rebellion to the table again because I haven't played it in donkey's ages, that kind of just again, if I want to play it, there's a way I can do it before waiting for the 17th of May. That's the thing. It's just when we get back to those cafes, I want multiple people. Awkward guess. Yeah, the Cluedo replacement, effectively.
I've played that with 2 players a lot, and I don't know, maybe I even like it better at two players because then it's more of a pure deduction game. There's less of a chance for you to lose just because someone buried a card that was really important.
Um, I mean, there's multiple ways you can get the clues and that figured out. I like it with any player counter.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
good
like that
anyway.
trading aspect. I like with multiple players, but it works with two. Even the solo's not too bad. But I mean, yeah, this is like
I've not tried the solo.
this is what Cluedo was meant to be in the original time. Outer Rim, yeah, that works. The others, not played that one. I would like to try that one. And Study in Emerald was not a fan. Was not a fan of that one. It's like, how dare you, you know, Eurify my Cthulhu. That's not what I wanted. But fair enough. Nah, there's a lot of stuff. So we're up to the 2 hour marks. This is time to wrap it up now. So as before, as I said, Gems and Biscuits, go check out. Before we wrap this up, we got to find out actually. Must find out how much have we boosted it. No, most people tend to watch this after the fact or something, but you were on 102 before. So this is the problem whenever I try to find you on there or something. It always loads up a different YouTube channel that's about making homemade ice gems.
That's the problem with the name, I suppose. Yeah.
And it's just like, no, I'm not interested in ice gems. I was like, I'm looking for Gems and Biscuits. It's like there is a colossal difference between the two channels.
Because I came up with the name because basically, obviously, I'm not from UK, and the way my surname is difficult to pronounce for British people. When they try to pronounce it, it sometimes sounds similar to Gems Biscuits.
Okay.
So right. I figured it'll be an interesting and clever name for a channel.
It's different. I mean, I thought it was a D&D thing, like, you know, like you're getting treasure in a D&D campaign, but we're all eating biscuits around a table or something. I thought it might be something like that, but it's something different. As I say, it works, and you're on 107 now.
Ah, awesome.
So we got you 8 more, but I'm certain that once this video is done, we'll get a few more in there. So by all means, get unsubscribed to the channel if you like what Aleks had to say, particularly if you disagree with me about what I think of some of the games on his list. So
yes, if you like the mind, subscribe.
I think you might be better off saying if you like brass, subscribe. You'll get a lot more people subscribed to your channel if you talk about how much you love brass. Because trust me, I'll be in the minority for that one. The mind's going to be a bit more divisive, I think. That's how it'll work. Just say you love brass and it's amazing. I guarantee you'll have another 50 subscribers by next week. So that'll work. Anyway, but yep, we're going to get on. I'm running out of breath and I need to still do some building on my PC in there. What a great way to end the night. So cheers for coming on, Aleks. Cheers for coming into the chat, guys. We'll see you on the next one. What have I got next week? I was going to be taking a break next week, but I think next week I've got the Lighting Up initiative and we might be doing top 10 disappointing games. I could be wrong on that. I can't remember if that's the following week or next week. I haven't certified. I've basically got like about 6 different collaborations on planned and I need to pencil them in the diaries, but I've got a feeling it's that. Whatever. You'll see my announcement in the next couple of days anyway. So take care, everyone. Thanks for joining in the chat and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And yeah, here's to the end of lockdown.
Yes, hopefully we can start playing games again in 2 weeks' time.
Exactly, yeah. So we look forward to it. Take care, all.